Quickly go across to our power-packed panel. Ambassador Amrit Lagoon, former senior diplomat, joining us online from New Delhi. I also welcome Professor Sanjay Bharadwaj from School of International Studies in our Delhi studio. And Jessica Taneja of DD India continues to be with us live from Kazan in Russia. Ambassador Lagoon, I would like to start with you, sir. Your views on the overall agenda of this edition of BRICS summit under the chairmanship of Russia, and the fact that it really matters to Putin, where we are looking at leaders from more than 24 nations converging in Kazan. And if I'm not mistaken, this could be one of the largest events that Russia has hosted in a while, since there has been this whole Russia-Ukraine onslaught grabbing international headlines the last 2-3 years. Ambassador Lagoon.
Thank you. Yeah, so Russia, as you rightly pointed out, had hosted the first summit of BRICS, or BRIC was at that time. And now it is hosting in a place of which we call Kazan, which is the Russian province of Turkestan, which is basically very close to Central Asia. It's not the you can say the real European heart of Russia. So it is like giving a signal that this summit can be like a bridge between the East and West, and not necessarily an antagonistic stand against the West. And for the agenda for world security and also the financial architecture are very, very important, especially from the Russian point of view, because Russia itself is involved in one of those major conflicts right now going on. It is, they had expected that it would be over very quickly when they started in 2022, February. So it has been over 2.5 years now, and there is still no end to the conflict in Ukraine, which is it is involved in Ukraine. And in fact, it is getting to some extent from bad to worse.
Okay.
And and also it has added fuel to the fire, the conflict going on in the Middle East.
But in the light of Honorable Prime Minister's opening remarks yesterday, as far as Russia-Ukraine conflict is concerned, and Ambassador Lagoon, India's role in that, that India is ready to offer and assist, quote unquote. Well, do you think there are going to be some conversations in the summitry revolving around that?
Yeah, at least definitely at the bilateral level, it is likely to happen, because India-Russia have a strategic partnership and high-level dialogue which takes place every year. And incidentally, Prime Minister Modi had visited Russia before recently, and he held a meeting with Mr. Putin, and then he followed it up with a visit to Eastern Europe, Poland, and Ukraine itself, where he met Mr. Zelensky. So our Prime Minister Modi is in a very enviable position, in the sense that he has read both leaders' mind in the ongoing conflict, and India, of course, would desire that this conflict comes to an end as soon as possible. And in the light of the new architecture in the world, which has developed after Second World War under the aegis of UN, it is being threatened by these conflicts where the territorial integrity of countries are being threatened, whatever it is. So the Prime Minister is likely to reiterate its position, and similarly also in the region of Israel or Middle East and Palestine, a similar war is going on, and again, the territorial boundaries which were there under the aegis of UN, those are being threatened.
Okay.
So India has a very enviable position, and
right, sir. So stay with us. Let me take this to Jessica, because she's where the action is in Kazan. And Jessica, the largest gathering of world leaders amidst war for Putin. And there's also this, thought that this is some sort of a signal to the West. But this summit means a lot to Vladimir Putin?
Indeed, it does. And it is his moment to say that he's not as isolated as the West may think, because the countries that are being represented at BRICS, of course, represent a significant contribution to the global GDP, approximately 36.5%. Compare that to G7, which is about 30%. So, of course, he has a lot to say when it comes to these countries' participation. And the new members joining it only shows how countries are interested in BRICS, not because it's a grouping that offers an extensive economic, very extensive and a sustained economic cooperation from the very start, but also the fact that there has to be an alternative when the Western architecture doesn't really include countries of the global South. So Russian President Vladimir Putin would want to take this opportunity to say that there is an alternate structure that exists, and perhaps Iran and Russia are two countries which have suffered the most when it comes to Western sanctions. So more economic integration, of course, means that this is the forum where, or this is a multilateral.
As we fix Jessica's line there, Professor Bharadwaj, would you like to come in here? So can BRICS really offer a counterbalance to the